Everyone thought the insiders would be the faithful ones. The world expected the religious to remember their healer. But God chose the foreigner, the outcast, the Samaritan. And one man had to walk back alone to face the truth. This is the story of the 10 lepers. 10 men, rotted by disease, standing on the edge of breath, the brink of being erased. What remains when the body betrays you, when your own flesh becomes a tomb? You know this fear. Not the same sores, perhaps, but the dread of being cast out, of calling out and no one turning. Now, listen. Stone, jagged, bleached white under a sun that offers no warmth. This land between Samaria and Galilee, no banner claims it, no song celebrates it. Only wind moves here, and footsteps that do not belong. Dust coats the tongue. The air tastes of salt and old bone. A canyon split by time, split by bloodlines, split by centuries of turned backs. Here, the earth refuses to hide its wounds, gullies carved like scars, rock faces cracked open, revealing nothing but more rock. And on the lip of it, a huddle. Not a village, a gasp. A few huts clinging to the edge, as if afraid to fall into either world. They stand apart. Jews, Samaritans. Once, their ancestors cursed each other's temples. Now, their skin speaks the same curse. Leprosy, not just a sickness, a slow unmaking. Fingers blurred into stumps, lips drawn back from teeth like a skull's grin, ears folded into themselves. They do not touch, not even each other. Law forbids it, tradition enforces it, fear polices it. But misery, this kind, has no borders. It seeps through pride, drowns out hatred. They are bound now by what is peeling from their bones. A shout cracks the silence, not a greeting, a warning. Unclean! Voices roar, throats flayed from repeating the word. They call it like a prayer, like a curse, like a name they've been forced to wear. They see movement on the road, a figure, one man, walking where others gallop past. He wears no armor, carries no staff, just a robe, frayed at the hem, dust rising around his feet. Jesus. The name moves among them like a rumor. A man who touches the untouchable, who eats with tax collectors, who speaks to women as if they have souls. They do not approach. They know their place. They stay in the shadow of the rocks, where the sun doesn't reach. One lifts an arm, half hand really, and calls out. Then another, then all. Jesus, Master, have pity on us! The cry does not echo. The land swallows sound. But he hears. He stops, turns. His face still, not flinching, not covering his nose, not stepping back. Eyes meet decay and do not look away. No sermon, no ritual, no laying on of hands. He speaks. A command that makes no sense in a world ruled by proof. Go, show yourselves to the priests. They freeze. Their skin still weeps. Their feet are numb with nerve death. Their clothes hang like burial shrouds. The priests demand proof of healing, but there is none. Yet he tells them to walk, to leave this place, to step into the road, to move toward the temple, toward judgment, while still marked by the curse. The air thickens, not with wind, with decision. Do they stay? Do they obey? The ground beneath them offers no answer. Only dust, only distance. But the command hangs, sharp as a blade, and the miracle, if it comes, will not happen here. It will happen in motion, in trust, in the space between sickness and the first step forward. Can you walk when your body says no? Can you believe before you feel? What happens when healing begins not with a touch, but with a step? Fog, thick, choking the edges of the world. It rolls in from the east, swallowing the sun before it can rise, smearing the light into a dull ache. No horizon, only a wall of grey, shifting, breathing, like the skin, peeling, weeping, never whole. This is the air they walk through, not sky, not earth, a place between, where breath fogs and fingers forget warmth. Leviticus, the words crawl through bone, not read, remembered. Chanted in childhood, sharp as flint. Chapter 13, 14. The law of the saw, the scab, the bright spot. A priest's eye decides life. Not medicine, not mercy, judgment. A glance, a pause. Then the verdict, unclean. No trial, no appeal, just exile. The priest, robed, standing at the gate, not with oil, not with herbs, with silence, a silence that cuts deeper than any blade. He does not touch, cannot. The law forbids. His hands stay folded, clean, untouched by decay. He speaks one word, and that word unravels a life. No healing, only verdict, only separation. A judge of flesh, a divider of blood. Outside the camp, not a place, a condition. No name on a map, just distance, stones, wind. The ground hardens underfoot, cracked like old leather. No tent welcomes, no fire calls, no child runs to meet. Family, gone. Not dead, but gone. Worship, gone. The temple, gone. Only the echo of song, remembered in the dark, the smell of incense, imagined, the sound of the shofar, carried on wind that does not reach here. Clothes torn, not by accident, by command. Ripped at the shoulder, left open. Hair unbound, wild. Not for beauty, for shame, for warning. This is the garment of the lost, the uniform of the cursed. Every thread a declaration. I am not whole. I am not safe. Do not come near. The fabric scrapes against raw skin, itches, pulls, but they do not mend it, cannot. The law demands the wound remain open. Each dawn, before light, before breath settles, they stand, face the road, open their mouths, and cry it, unclean! Again, again, a shout that scrapes the throat, a word that becomes the only voice they have. Not a plea, a warning, a self-curse. They name themselves what the world fears. They become the sound of their own exile. The wind carries it. The stones absorb it. No answer ever comes. For the Jew among them, the temple in Jerusalem, only hope. The altar, the blood, the priest's inspection. Only there can the body be declared clean. Only there can the man become a man again. Not just healed, restored, accepted. The journey is long, through valleys, over ridges, past villages that turn their backs. But the dream remains, to stand before the gate, to hear the words, "You may enter." For the Samaritan, another mountain calls, Gerizim, not Zion, not Jerusalem, but the peak where his ancestors built their sanctuary, where they believed the true altar stood. His hope is not in the same stones, but the longing is the same. To be seen, to be judged clean, to walk into sacred space without fear. Two temples, one wound, one cry. They live in the in-between, flesh rotting, but not dead, not yet. Nerves die slowly, feet numb, fingers stiffen, toes blacken. The body betrays, cell by cell, a slow unraveling. Each morning they wake to less feeling, less form, less self. Death would be a release, but it does not come. They wait, in the fog, in the silence, in the space between breath and breath, Jew and Samaritan. Once, their bloodlines spat at each other's prayers. Once, they would not share a well, would not speak, would not walk the same road. Now, side by side, in the same dust, the same rags, the same cry, hatred burned away by a greater fire, misery shared, equal, no pride left, no nation, no temple, only skin, only pain, only need. This uncleanness, this curse, is the only thing that makes them equal. No titles, no tribes, no history, just open sores, just trembling hands, just the same hollow in the chest where hope used to live. They do not speak much, but they understand, without words. The glance, the nod, the shared silence when the wind dies. They are bound now, not by law, but by loss. Nothing left to lose. That is the truth. No home, no family, no future. Only the next breath, the next step, the next cry. And in that emptiness, faith grows. Not loud, not bold, but deep, a root in cracked earth. When the rabbi spoke, they did not argue, did not demand proof. They turned, they walked, because what else is there? To stay is to rot, to go is to hope. And now, obedience, the command, go, but no change. Not yet. Skin still raw, feet still numb, the sores still weep. No warmth, no tingling, no sudden healing, just the same ache, the same weight. But they walk, one foot, then the other, toward the priest, toward judgment, toward nothing they can feel. The command hangs in the air, heavy, real, more real than the flesh. And in that moment, faith is not a shout, it is a step, then another. In the fog, in the dark, in the silence. Dust, still warm from the day's long burn. It puffs in small clouds beneath their feet. 10 figures move forward, not running, not leaping, walking. Each step a memory of pain. The sores, raw, open, weeping, still mark their limbs. They feel them, know them, yet they walk. One foot, then the next. No music, no fanfare, just the dry rasp of cloth against cracked skin, the shuffle of worn sandals, the breath, shallow, drawn through clenched teeth. They obey, not because they believe, not yet, but because there is nothing else. The command hangs in the air like a thread stretched too tight. Go. And so they go. Step, then another. The world does not shift. The sky does not part. No thunder, no light. Just the same road, the same ache, the same weight in the chest. They walk in silence, eyes down, shoulders bent. Not toward healing, toward ritual, toward the priests, toward the cold gaze of the law. They move like shadows trailing behind a fading sun, blind, obedient, empty. Then warmth, a flicker beneath the skin. Not fire, not fever, something deeper, a hum, a pulse where numbness once lived. One man stumbles, stops, lifts his hand, turns it slowly. The white patches, the dead zones where feeling vanished, are gone. Flesh, whole and warm, stretches over his fingers. He runs a thumb across his palm, feels the ridge of a callus, the grain of his own skin. He gasps, not loud, but sharp, like a blade drawn across silence. Then chaos, a shout, then another. A man drops to his knees, pressing his palms into the dirt, feeling every pebble, every root. Another tears at his tunic, baring his arms, staring at the smooth skin where rot once clung. They grab each other, hands on shoulders, fingers in hair, weeping. Not quiet sobs, great heaves that shake the chest. One laughs through tears, voice cracking like dry wood. Another falls forward, forehead to earth, mouth open in a sound that isn't speech. The air fills with breath, with noise, with life returning not just to bodies, but to voices. The road splits, not in stone, in thought. One path leads upward, to the temple, to the priests, to the ritual of inspection, to the stamp, the certificate, the right to enter homes, to touch a child, to speak without warning, to be seen as clean. 9 men turn, without words, without looking back. They run, not limping, not cautious, full stride, arms pumping, sandals slapping stone. They run toward belonging, toward restoration, toward the world that cast them out. They run for proof, for validation, for the seal that says, "You are human again." But one man stands still. His breath comes slow. He looks at his hands. then at the ground, then back toward the borderlands, toward the place where they cried out, where the man in the frayed robe turned and saw them, not as unclean, not as outcasts, but as men. He remembers the voice, the command, the way the man did not flinch, did not recoil, did not demand proof before giving hope. And in that moment, a truth settles, deep, quiet, unshakable. The priest cannot heal, only declare. The temple cannot restore, only admit. But the one who spoke, he changed the flesh, he moved the blood, he called life from decay. So he turns, not toward the temple, but away, back through the dust, back toward the edge of the world. His feet fly, not for status, not for ceremony, for gratitude, for the weight of a voice that spoke and made whole. He runs until his lungs burn, until his legs tremble, until he sees the figure again, standing where the pines thin, where the light breaks through. He falls, not slowly, not with dignity, full to the earth, face in the dirt, hands stretched forward. No words, just breath, shaking, ragged. The man in the robe steps close, looks down, not with judgment, with knowing. The wind stills, the trees hold their breath, and then the question, soft, not angry, not sharp, but deep, carved from something older than sorrow. Where are the 9? No answer, only silence, the kind that settles in the hollow of a chest, the kind that echoes in empty courtyards. The 9, somewhere, knock at the temple gate, present their arms, bow their heads, receive their papers, re-enter the world. But here, in the borderlands, where light spills through pine and dust hangs gold in the air, only one remains, one who came back, one who saw. The man in the robe reaches down, touches his shoulder. Rise. The voice carries no thunder, no flame, just certainty. Go. Your faith, this trust in the unseen, this return to the source, has made you well. The man rises, slowly, his body whole, his soul lighter. He looks at the face before him, not a priest, not a king, a wanderer, a teacher, a man from Nazareth. And then, the final truth, unspoken but known. He is a Samaritan, the enemy, the one whose bloodline they say is tainted, the one whose worship is called false, the one who should not be here, should not be healed, should not be seen. Yet here he stands, whole, known, loved. The sun climbs higher, light spills through the trees. Long beams cut through the canopy, illuminating the path behind him. The path of the 9, fading into distance, and the path before him, bright, open, unknown. He turns, walks forward, not toward temple or town, but into the light. Skin, dead, white as salt scoured by wind. Not just disease, separation, a slow, unbecoming. Each patch a border drawn by decay, marking where life retreated. This is leprosy. Not merely flesh undone, but identity erased. No touch, no embrace, no threshold crossed without warning cries. Sin, too, eats that way. Silent, incremental, isolating. It doesn't announce itself with thunder. It creeps, in choices, in silences, in the slow hardening of the heart. And no bath, no ritual, no offering laid upon stone can scrape it clean. Only a voice from outside the camp can call a man back into being. They turned, walked, toward the priests, toward linen robes and measuring eyes, 9 figures moving like reeds in a dry wind, bent, brittle, obedient. The law demanded inspection, proof, a verdict spoken in cold syllables. They went not to be healed, but to be seen, to have their bodies judged fit for society again. The priests held the keys to return, but not to restoration. They could pronounce, but not transform. Their hands declared clean, but never made whole. One did not go up. He turned back, down the slope, through the dust still trembling from his own running, toward the man who spoke, the Samaritan. Outcast among outcasts, his bloodline questioned, his worship scorned. Yet he alone saw. He did not seek validation from a temple built on exclusion. He sought the source, the one whose words split the silence and stirred blood beneath dead skin. He ran to the high priest of a new order, Melchizedek's shadow, Aaron's antitype. A priest not by lineage, but by life-giving word. One utterance, go, and healing walked with them, not in a cloud, not in fire, but in the obedience of broken men on a dirt road. 2 words in Greek, 1 breath apart, worlds between them. Katharizo, cleansed, the washing of the surface, the removal of stain. The 9 received this, their skin smoothed, their sores sealed. The priests would see only flesh restored. But sozo, that is salvation, whole, body, soul, spirit, delivered, rescued, breath drawn from the grave. The Samaritan didn't just feel warmth in his fingers, he felt the weight of gratitude pull him to the earth. That fall was not ritual, it was recognition, the difference between being declared clean and being drawn into communion. The 9 were made clean, their limbs no longer wept, their steps no longer faltered, but the one, his chest rose with a breath he had not known since childhood. Not just air, presence, the kind that hums beneath the ribs. The kind that makes a man fall face first into dust, not because he must, but because he cannot stand beneath the weight of being known. They sought the gift, the certificate, the right to re-enter the market, the synagogue, the family table. But he sought the giver, the voice that did not flinch at his name, his nation, his rot, the one who looked and did not turn away. To seek the gift is to walk towards ceremony. To seek the giver is to run back through the dust, lungs burning, heart exposed. Jesus. Not standing in the temple, not robed in linen, standing in the borderlands, where the clean do not go, where the wind carries the scent of pine and decay. He becomes the true meeting place, not stone, but flesh, not a building, but a body. The unclean come, they touch the hem, they cry from the valley. And he does not call for purification before approach, he calls them come. The veil torn, not in the temple, but in the moment a Samaritan presses his forehead to dirt and weeps. His return, a ripple ahead of a wave. The Gentiles will come, not through the gate, not with lineage, but with the same cry, the same dust on their knees, the same need. This man, this enemy, becomes the first fruits of a harvest beyond the walls of Jerusalem. The kingdom does not expand by conquest, it spreads by return. Gratitude, not a courtesy, not a social echo. It is the soul's reflex when it brushes eternity, the gasp after drowning, the first note of a song long forgotten. When the Samaritan fell, he did not speak. He breathed, shook, trembled. That silence, thicker than words. That is worship, not polished, not performed. The only response when a man realizes he has been seen, known, and called whole. The remnant, always small, always unexpected, not the 9 who followed the rules, but the one who saw beyond them, the one whose heart cracked open, not at healing, but at the face of the healer. The few who hear the question beneath the miracle. Do you know who spoke to you? Where are the 9? Not accusation, longing, a question carved from divine grief. God does not gather beneficiaries, he seeks sons, daughters, faces turned toward him, not just toward what he gives. The 9 received mercy, the 1 received relationship. And in that difference, the ocean, deep, blue, vast. The 9 were given a dry path, the 1 was lifted into the tide, not just saved from leprosy, saved into life, whole, not because he obeyed, but because he returned, because he saw, because he fell, because he knew. The voice that cleanses is the same voice that calls us home. The lake, still, no ripple, no breath of wind to disturb its face, just the slow spill of light, pink, gold, soft as a sigh, pouring across the water like honey from a jar. You can see the sky below you, the trees, upside down, rooted in air. Everything doubled, everything held. This is not motion, this is rest. Deep in the bones, low in the gut, the kind that comes not from effort, but from release. We move, always, from crisis to relief, from prayer to answer, from the edge of collapse to the comfort of recovery. And then, without thought, we drift. Back to the noise, back to the list, back to the hum of the refrigerator, the buzz of the phone, the weight of the unread email. The miracle fades into the background, like steam off hot pavement, gone before you can cup it in your hands. You cried out in the dark, voice raw, knees pressed into cold floorboards. The diagnosis, the debt, the silence from the one you love. You reached, fingers stretched toward a name you barely remembered. And then, morning came. The fever broke, the check arrived, the voice returned. Relief, sweet, sudden. And just as quickly you turned, toward the next thing, the next need, the next fire. No pause, no backward glance, no moment where you simply sat, where you let the warmth of the answer settle into your skin. We treat grace like a delivery. Package received, signature confirmed, driver already pulling away. But someone stopped, once, turned from the temple path, left the certificate of cleansing unsigned in the dust, ran, lungs tight, feet bleeding, back to the man who spoke. Not for more, not for proof, but because something deeper than healing had touched him, something that pulled him down, to his knees, to his face, to the earth. He knew, without words, without training, that the gift was not the end, it was the door. And the one who opened it, still standing in the borderlands, was worth more than all the clean skin in the world. You don't need another sermon, another list, another call to do more. You need this, to stop, to let the answer be enough, to let the healer be enough, to sit by this lake, to watch the light, to feel the cool air on your cheeks, to hear your own breath, slow, even, unhurried. The water holds the sky, not by grasping, not by striving, but by being still, by receiving, by not resisting the reflection. So lie down, let the ground take your weight, let the night air brush your forehead, let the silence fill your ears, not with absence, but with presence, the kind that doesn't demand, doesn't rush, doesn't scold. You are not late, you are not behind, you are not forgotten. You are here, on the shore, at the edge of the calm. And the one who called you out of the storm is not waiting for your performance. He is waiting for your rest. Fall into it, not with drama, not with tears, but with trust. Like a child sinking into a mattress, like a leaf settling on still water. The healing was real, but the healer is nearer, closer than your breath, closer than the pulse in your wrist. And in this moment, this quiet, unremarkable, holy moment, you are not just made well, you are held.